Welcome back to Motorcycle Track Day Noob. In this episode, I think I'm going to be doing another informal, just a little catch-up, and this one I'm going to be focusing on the air filter because I'm looking at the air filter on this, and I knew this was an issue for a while, and this air filter is pretty caked in. So this bike has a rejetted carburetor. I think it has 150 mains inside of it, and it's got a full micron exhaust, and one of the things that people often do, and I bought the bike this way, is that they desnorkel the air filter, which is something I hadn't done yet, to put a new one in, and I have done that, and I want to put one in. But I can see that this thing is probably not correct, which means the bike probably isn't perfect because of how shitty that air filter looks so far. However, the bike's been running great. I have done a couple other things earlier tonight. I replaced the Vesrah RJL pads up front with just a new set of Vesrah RJL pads, and I cannot believe how well these Vesrah RJL pads work. And I just want to keep using them because they're pretty damn awesome. The other thing I did is I ordered this cheap double bubble looking clear windshield. I think this was one of those windshields that got stuck in the Suez Canal when that boat got sideways inside of there, but it finally showed up. It didn't look like it was going to fit, but I did get it to fit. It doesn't fit exactly, like, correctly, like not as great as this zero gravity one did, but I wanted a clear one on there because I want to be able to put a GoPro on the front of this so I can see just how shitty I am at riding and make some adjustments based on that. So what I've got is I finally did the desnorkeling, and I'm not going to show it. I'm sorry, but I didn't want to show something when I really didn't know what I was doing. This is one I just desnorkeled, so it's not an OEM, it's a high flow filtro. The high flow filtros are basically OEM, and I just proved this to myself because the exact same thing on the Bandit. I was chasing something on the Bandit. You know, I'm always chasing something on the Bandit, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll pay the $50 for an OEM one versus the 15 for a high flow. Put it in, and it's the exact same thing. So this is one I just desnorkeled. This is an absolutely stock one, besides this circle that I just drew on it with this Sharpie, because I'll eventually do this one if this works out all right. And the way I figured this out, if you find, there's a really well-written article online about how to do this, and one thing he mentions is that you're going to get plastic shavings all over the place, and you are. Shit, they went everywhere. So I ended up using the shop vac to get most of the shavings out, and then I used the air compressor to blow the rest of them out. But the way I was able to do this, and I think this worked out really well, and the guy mentions that he did it with a Dremel cutter bit, and it was a pain in the ass. I can see how that would be a nightmare. What I did was I put a piece of paper here, then I marked around it, and I cut this thing out. Okay, so then I went over to the other side, put it on here, taped it, and then tried to mark roughly where that was. Then what I did with the roto zip, oh man, so these are those plastic, oh god, these, I'm going to be finding these everywhere. If you do this, okay, it's a compromise. You want something to hold this thing shit, I just put more of them in there. You want something to hold this still, so when you're roto zipping, you're not moving it around. But I think you also want to do it outside because the plastic shavings go everywhere. So if you could put a vise in the middle of your yard outside, that would be ideal. I didn't do that, so I've got plastic shavings all over my basement. But what I did is I got this piece, and then I circled around it, and then basically I roto zipped inside that line. And I would go conservative by going inside if you're going to do this, because let's just say you cut inside too far, then you'll have a lip overhanging, and you can come back with this and clean it up. If you go too far right away, you might end up cutting into the filter, which is going to be no good. Now, the reason people are going to be doing something like this is they're just trying to get better airflow through this, and you really, from everything I'm reading, you don't want to do this on a stock exhaust, and you're not going to want to do this on stock jetting, because it's actually just going to make it run like shit, because it was set up with that snorkel to run at stock settings. I think what stock is 137.5 mains. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. I think I've got 152.5 mains in it right now, and then the micron, so it's more free flowing. So you actually want to do something like this. And if I want to replace this air filter that's all gummed up, I want to put one that's also desnorkeled, because that's how this bike is set up. So I'm going to pull that old one out and just take a look at it. I'm not obviously going to be able to ride it tonight because it's like 11 p.m. at night, but I'm going to pull that other one out. We'll just look at them and see what we got. So is this going to be useful for me at all? I have no idea. But here's the old air filter. Slightly greasy. But that was slightly greasy before. that should compare to that one. So that's what I'm going to be replacing it with. I don't know if I'm going to be noticing much of a difference, but I'm not that comfortable, you know, leaving that grimy of an air filter in. I'll find out tomorrow when I go take it for a test ride. Anyway, that's what I'm looking at. Desnorkeled, stock-ish, high flow. I think this is probably a stock one that was desnorkeled. And for all I know, this has been on there for the life of the bike, and the bike's at like, I don't know, like 28,000 miles. And then this one is a totally stock-ish high flow that hasn't been touched. Maybe I'll just try putting all of them in and see if I can actually feel the difference or not. Well, I gotta bed the brakes in, so might as well go figure out if the air filter feels any different on the thing. And unfortunately, I gotta bed the brakes in my neighborhood because there's nowhere else for me to really go do it. Oh well. Bike is warmed up though. Sure sounds nice. That's you, dude. I love these uncontrolled intersections. I will pay for them to put yield signs up or stop signs. I don't get it. Why have uncontrolled intersections in a neighborhood like this? That was a red light, just run. Nice work, dude. Yeah, I don't know if it's placebo or not, but this definitely seems to pull a little bit harder. I didn't know if I'd feel anything different, but I think I may have been choking it with that old gummed up air filter. The brakes are great on this thing. Obviously, I'm not able to go by the Dave Moss approved bedding in procedure. I just go around my neighborhood looking like a psycho, but nobody's called the police yet, so that's good. We'll find out. Hopefully I can get onto this on-ramp unrestricted and just feel if I can notice a difference. I just want to get up into higher RPMs and see if anything weird is going on, if I gotta pull a carburetor out, figure out jets. I really don't want to play the jets game. The jets game sucks. I think this bike is faster than it was. Unfortunately, I just rode my Interceptor, my 500, my VF 500F, so I might have a distorted view on what the acceleration should be because this thing's got probably 15 to 20 more horsepower. But I'm telling you, this feels quicker than it did before, which is cool. Another thing I'm trying to do is just not during the bedding process. I have to be using my rear brake. Okay, I shouldn't mix it up. I was gonna say I've been trying to just do front brake and downshifting with it on my street riding to try to break that habit. But right now I'm having to use the rear brake because as I'm bedding in new brakes, I don't want to be coming to a stop with just the fronts. I don't want to grip it as it's stopping, or really I don't want to be using it under 10 miles an hour while I'm bedding the things in. So I'm kind of fighting two different things at once right now. Ooh, he is fucking flying! Holy shit! Well, that's why as a motorcycle, I actually don't like being the first person to go across these streets. Milwaukee's pretty famous for having people that don't give a fuck about driving. I'm surprised any of these cars have license plates. And also, if you own a Kia or a Hyundai, you don't own a Kia or a Hyundai anymore. It's been stolen. Somebody else owns it now. Well, I don't know. Bike feels fast to me. Obviously, I got to go do a righteous ride on it, but I just wanted to go quick, take it around, bed the brakes in a little bit, and now I got it warm enough I could change the oil. I'm not going to actually change the filter. It's only got two track days on it, but I figure swap in $10 more of Rotella and call it good. You watched this far. Thanks for watching. I have no fucking idea what determines whether or not this goddamn microphone records when you're using the external thing on the goddamn GoPro. Oh yeah. Venison and ice cream. 5 pounds heavier today than I was yesterday. Kind of embarrassed about that.